Excitement out there this morning. Thanks, you guys. So Donald Trump is about to speak live at the top of the hour once again. And it comes just hours after doubling down on his immigration policy. Very fiery speech in Phoenix last night. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, live in America's Newsroom.
Nice to be with you. Nice to be with you at home. I'm Leland Vittert in for Bill Hemmer this Thursday. Trump's set to address the American Legion's National Convention any minute. It comes after his long-awaited speech on immigration, where Trump left little doubt about his hardline stance on illegal immigrants.
We will build a great wall along the southern border, and Mexico will pay for the wall. On day one, we will begin working on an impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful, beautiful southern border wall. There will be no amnesty. Our message to the world will be this: you cannot obtain legal status or become a citizen of the United States by illegally entering our country. Can't do it. I am going to create a new special deportation task force focused on identifying and quickly removing the most dangerous criminal illegal immigrants in America who have evaded justice, just like Hillary Clinton has evaded justice, okay?
As we wait for Donald Trump this morning, we have Fox team coverage. Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer standing by, screen left. We begin with senior national correspondent John Roberts live in Wilmington, Ohio. Good morning, John. You have to think, as you look at yesterday, the campaign's pretty happy about it. Can they make it 2 days in a row?
Leland, good morning to you. I think you could probably arguably say that Donald Trump had the best day of his campaign so far. There was the meeting that he had with Mexico's President Peña Nieto in Mexico City, hastily arranged, but just the optics of it, they believe, looked very presidential, put Donald Trump on the same stage as a world leader behind the podiums, giving statements, very much the sort of image that they have, a leader that they have been trying to portray. And then, of course, the big immigration speech last night. Now, one of the big issues regarding the immigration speech was what Donald Trump will do about the millions upon millions of people who are in this country illegally. There seemed to be some, quote, softening of his position. He again said last night all criminal illegal aliens will be deported as soon as possible, that anyone who enters the country illegally will be subject to deportation, and that there will be no path to citizenship for people who enter the country illegally. But he still left some ambiguity, still left a little lack of clarity about what will happen to the millions upon millions of non-criminal illegal aliens in the United States. Listen to what he said last night.
When we have accomplished all of our enforcement and deportation goals and truly ended illegal immigration for good, and the establishment of our new lawful immigration system, then and only then will we be in a position to consider the appropriate disposition of those individuals who remain.
So that is dialing back from his original position of everyone is going to be deported, but the speech was tough enough, Leland, to satisfy conservatives. And Coulter, who, for example, had been having a little bit of agita, shall we say, about what Donald Trump has been saying over the past couple of weeks, said that she thought the speech was great. So satisfying conservatives and still perhaps leaving a little bit of ambiguity for people who were very concerned that he was going to throw everyone out of the country.
Well, yeah, and Coulter saying it was the most magnificent speech she'd ever seen, John. And part of the speech that we saw last night was sort of doubling down on who is going to pay for the big wall. Have they figured that out with Mexico yet, or is that still in negotiations?
Well, Donald Trump said yesterday after his meeting with Mexico's president that the subject of the wall didn't come up, but Peña Nieto begged to disagree, tweeting out yesterday, quote, "At the beginning of the conversation with Donald Trump, I made it clear that Mexico will not pay for the wall," which prompted this comment from Hillary Clinton's running mate, Senator Tim Kaine, this morning. Listen.
This is kind of a diplomatic amateur hour by Donald Trump. He has been telling the American public for months now, we're building a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. But then that did not come up in the meeting. I mean, I just find that kind of ridiculous. And even if he's right, if it didn't come up, what, he suddenly just choked and forgot to say that?
Donald Trump tweeting out again this morning, Mexico will indeed pay for the wall. The other big event, besides the one at the Roberts Center here at noon today, will be Saturday in Detroit. We understand that Donald Trump will, in fact, be addressing the congregation at the church. There have been some reports that he wasn't going to. And then after that, he is going to take a tour with Ben Carson of Carson's old neighborhoods in Detroit. So that should be a very interesting visit, Leland. Donald Trump getting some criticism that he hasn't been paying much attention actually being in the inner city, just talking about it. So he's going to make good on that promise on Saturday. Leland?
Detroit, certainly a hard-hit area indeed. John Roberts, Wilmington, Ohio, as we await Mr. Trump in Cincinnati. Martha has more.
Yeah, Leland, we're moments away from Donald Trump in Cincinnati. In the meantime, Hillary Clinton responding to the speech and the visit to Mexico with this tweet. Trump just failed his first foreign test. Diplomacy isn't as easy as it looks, she says. At the same time, her lead is now shrinking down to single digits. She had a 10-point lead in this same poll early last month. And in a four-way race, when you add the Libertarian and Green Party candidates, Clinton is up by only 2 points within the margin of error now, a statistical dead heat. Ari Fleischer is former White House press secretary to President George W. Bush. Ari, great to have you here this morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
First of all, what do you make of Hillary Clinton's response?
Well, I don't make much of it at all. I think Donald Trump had an excellent day yesterday. Not such a good night, but an excellent day. His speech down in Mexico, his meeting with the president, and then the appearance afterwards is presidential looking. And that's his biggest hurdle. If people think he's too much bombast and they can't take him seriously, he can't win. That visit with the president of Mexico elevated him on the world stage.
Yeah. And that photo, you know, there were so many people that said that it was too risky, that he was walking into the lion's den, that he was going to get a dressing down by President Peña Nieto. None of that happened. In fact, he had a very dominant position on that stage. I mean, when Charles Krauthammer is giving him high praise, that has not come in large measure from Charles, as we know. Steve Hayes said it was his single best day on the campaign trail. But you just said last night you didn't like.
Good day, not such a good night.
Why?
Here's why. It's a great night if you want to run and win a Republican primary. It is not the way to win a general election. And the Republicans have seen this movie before. Mitt Romney said very similar things. Everybody who is here has to leave the country and then apply to come back. Think about the message that sends. We don't want you in the United States, immigrants. Even if you are illegal, and illegal, there's a huge difference. Legal immigrants hear him say, we don't want you. It's a terrible trap for Republicans, and Trump played into it. Great for the primary, but we're going to lose general elections if this happens. The only way Trump can win now, he's going to get Mitt Romney-like numbers among Hispanics, which means hardcore Republican only, 25, 27%. He has to run the table with whites, and there's no evidence yet he's doing it because he's hurting so badly with college-educated whites.
All right, so that's the area, you know, according to a lot of prognosticators, he needs to work on, especially white women in the suburbs, in Philadelphia, for example, in Pennsylvania, where the numbers show him lagging by a pretty big number. But one of the things that's going to help win those women over are performances like we saw yesterday in Mexico. They don't want him to be, you know, unhinged and all the other names that he's been called. And he may have gone some of that distance, and it's all part of a piece, Ari. You've got today, he's going to talk about veterans issues. That's a direct appeal to that crowd. And then you've got Saturday when he goes into Detroit.
Look, my advice to Donald Trump is be more thoughtful, less bombastic, and continue to give policy speeches. I don't like all the policies on immigration. I am not in the same position as the base of the party when it comes to immigration. I want to compromise. I want to be a welcoming and inclusive country. But what Trump needs to do is continue to give policy speeches that let people see he can be president. He has solutions. And his speech yesterday, as much as there are things I didn't like, far more detailed, far more specific than anything Hillary has offered on immigration.
Well, that's a huge part of the point. He's presenting a plan.
Yeah,
he's saying
true.
This is what life in a Trump presidency would look like. Love it or leave it. Here's what I'm offering.
And I credit him with that.
And she's not offering, you know, here's what the world looks like with Hillary Clinton as running the country.
But that's an example of things he should continue to do on energy, on all kinds of issues that are important to the American people. Now, the last time he did in the primary announce the energy plan, he blew it by holding a news conference that day that took all the focus away from issues and policy. Trump has a personality-based campaign. That in alone won't win. He's got to demonstrate more policy that makes people just comfortable with him and sees him at that desk in the Oval Office.
Fascinating. I mean, yesterday was sort of the soft part and then the hammer. The soft part and then the hammer, which I think he would argue is the way that he thinks negotiations should happen. So we will see. All right, thank you very much. Good to have you with us.
Great interview, and another one coming up on the tightening race and this battle that continues over immigration. Donald Trump Jr., next hour of America's Newsroom.
Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton slamming Donald Trump's meeting with the Mexican president, as we showed you in a tweet. And now here's this. Watch.
It certainly takes more than trying to make up for a year of insults and insinuations by dropping in on our neighbors for a few hours and then flying home again.
So the former Secretary of State questioning Donald Trump, but does she have credibility on her own history in office? Sarah Huckabee Sanders will weigh in on that.
Plus, deja vu all over again. More revelations in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. What she did after leaving the State Department. Lieutenant General Mike Flynn joins us with that after the break.